gives you one round after another of applause, deflection. What goes through your mind?
I mean, obviously I saw Serena come back last year, so that was really a wonderful moment. And then just being here, just being on the practice court and on site has been so positive and such a great experience. And it just shows that, that you can always come back home, I guess. You can always go home.
Did you feel at home here?
Absolutely. It was great. The crowd rooted me on, even though it was a really tough day and tough conditions and just brutal out there. But it was wonderful to feel the love, and I, would love to come on back.
How emotional was it for you? I know last year when Serena came on the floor, she was trying to hold back tears. How emotional did you get? We saw it, you put your hand in your heart to the crowd.
Yeah, it was a great moment. I did get emotional. I mean, when we were doing the coin toss, I definitely got a little watery eye, but you don't want to be up there crying, when your opponent is you don't want to give them any more encouragement. But it was wonderful. I think I smiled the whole warm up, and I kind of had to get my game face on. It was tough to do.
When did you decide to come back here? What was it that put you over the edge? I remember in Rome last year you said it was very much a possibility for you after what you saw with Serena. But when did you decide this is the time for you?
Well, I think after Serena came back last year and she had such a warm welcome, I definitely thought to myself, I've got no reason not to go anymore. And it was time to be able to just, move on and let the past be the past. And sometimes that's what you have to do. And I think at this point, everyone has been able to move on.
Did you think back at all to the last time you were in that stadium during this match? And the stadium itself hasn't maybe changed much. Did you ever flash back to that?
Is the stadium bigger? No.
Just a little, maybe improve some.
It looks really, it's big. I didn't actually think back to that. I definitely live in the now, and it was a long time ago. And Serena and I have been able to do a lot of positive things in our lives since then, and hopefully those positive things have affected a lot of people. And that's what we focused on more than anything. And I think when she came back, it wasn't an easy decision. I mean, you never know what was going to happen. But she had so much courage to do so, and it made it so easy for me. I felt like when I came out here, I was able to focus on the tennis and not on, oh my gosh, what's going to happen.
So what's going to be your conversation with mom and dad, especially dad, because he was in the midst of what happened that 15 years ago. So just kind of, what would you tell mom and dad at this point?
We don't really talk about tennis, so we'll probably talk about everything but tennis. So we have a good relationship like that. I think sometimes you gotta let the tennis go.
Okay. Well, you've done such a fantastic job. So many years we've watched you, and it's like, wow. And I look at the girl that you play now, and I go like, wow, she's like half in his age. But it's really fantastic. I'm just so proud of what you have accomplished all these years, and just want to, we're just rooting for you all the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Venus, what were you feeling in the days and then the hours leading up to the match? Was it excitement? Was it trepidation? What was going through your head?
I think what I felt was like I wanted to be able to play well for everyone. I think more than anything, because obviously I saw Serena's warm welcome, so you just want to come out and play well and try to win that match. So I think that's more than anything what I felt. But like I said, I was able to come focus on the tennis, and I'm a person that's not into the spotlight so much, so I guess such a warm welcome, I actually felt a little shy, so it's been a wonderful moment, and 15 years later to be able to have such a joyous return, it's more than I could have ever, it's such a blessing.
Venus, did you feel like this was sort of one of the things that you needed to do to not say you're going to retire anytime soon, but to finish your careers, you needed to come back here and have this moment and have it done with and move on with things?
I hadn't really thought a lot about Indian Wells, playing here until Serena thought she's going to come back, and that's when I thought about it, obviously, after she played. So before that, I hadn't really, it's not something I focused on, in your life. Especially when you try to accomplish things, you're focusing on what you can accomplish, not on what happened ages ago.
Were you thinking at all about, say today, about sort of deeper themes that are involved in your coming back here, reconciliation, forgiveness, things like that, beyond just coming back today?
Absolutely, but I think it's a two-way street, and we could have come back here and everyone could have picked up where they left off, but everyone was welcoming. And also for us, we could have never come back, but we came back and change your attitude and those sort of things. So those changes of attitudes on both ends isn't always easy, but so it definitely was a two-way street. For it to work, both parties involved, us and the fans and the city and all of that had to have a positive attitude toward it. So that's how it worked.
Venus, you were just talking about the fact that you were smiling during warm up and things like that. What was the last time you had that sort of a feeling when you went out for a match and somebody did like that?
During an exhibition of some sort. I mean, when you get out there to play, it's just no nonsense, and it was wonderful to be able to enjoy a moment. As an athlete, you're so focused that you don't really realize the circumstances and how awesome it is to play in big stadiums like this until it's all done, because you're so focused. So to be able to have the moment and be able to enjoy it, even if it's just for a few minutes, is worth a lifetime of memories.
Venus, when the sad events happened here, you were just a very young person, just 20. Could you just share with us a little bit how, over the years, you processed that? Did you think about that often? Did the anger just seem to stay for a long period? And how did it finish?
I'm definitely not an angry person, so I wouldn't characterize it as anger, but I would characterize it as, if you feel like there's a place where you don't feel that welcome, then you can choose not to go somewhere where you don't feel comfortable being. And at the time, I didn't feel comfortable. I wouldn't have felt comfortable coming back through those doors, and the very next year would have just been too overwhelming. So at the time, it was just about being able to play in circumstances that are, we're not even talking about favorable, but just normal circumstances. So that's kind of, you try to put yourself in a position where, you're not facing any adverse circumstances. So that's really what it was at the time. I wasn't angry. I'm not an angry person. I definitely probably hold on to stuff like anybody, normal.
In each march, would you just sort of turn away, or did you have some sorrow or regrets for not being here?
I didn't think about that. I watched the tournament on TV, and I enjoyed the matches and thought it was a great tournament. It just didn't seem like a tournament for me. That's more or less what it was. I didn't dwell on or boycott it or not watch it and all of those things. It wasn't like that at all.
Venus, you talk about being emotional and kind of enjoying the moment tonight. And then when you get into the match, how difficult was it to kind of get that edge back, or did you ever get it back?
It was rough out there. She played really well, and everything was going for her. She was very competitive, and everything seemed to be working for her. Even the shank shots just kept going in. And I kept saying to myself, how are these balls going in, Lord? How do I get some of mine in? And the conditions were really brutal. Just serving in that was tough, not ideal. And thankfully, it looks like it at least calmed down. So maybe when Serena gets out there, it'll be a tad bit easier. But it was still a great day.
Venus, it's been quite a controversial week, if you like, for women's tennis. Over the years, you've stood up and you've been a spokesman on several issues. What's your take on the whole Maria business?
Well, anytime that I've spoken up on issues, it's because I know the facts. In this case, I don't. I guess they are finding the facts now. And that's I guess a discovery period. So what can you say? What I do know is that in the past. She's been very competitive, and I think she has been a role model for a lot of people. She has a ton of fans, and I think she's affected a lot of lives in a positive way. So hopefully that won't be the end of that.
Venus, when Serena first told you, first heard that she was going to come back here, what was your gut reaction?
I guess I didn't really think she was going to do it. I didn't think she was really serious about it. That's pretty much, I thought, wow, I didn't think she was really going to do it. She's talking about it, and I thought, oh, I don't think she will. But then she was very serious about it, and I think when her entry remained in Indian Wells, I think that's when people really started talking. I don't remember exactly the chain of events of how it started, but I didn't think she was serious.
And when you come back here, I mean, sometimes when kids go back to a place they grew up in, it looks a lot smaller than it was. But this place, you haven't been here in a long time, but it's a lot bigger. It is, I mean, what's your impression of this tournament and the grounds and everything here now?
Yeah, it's a lot bigger. It's wonderful. And it's a nice place for the players and the fans, and the excitement level here is just palpable. And it's wonderful. As soon as I got back to the desert, I was so happy. It felt right.
You know, a couple of times you came out to the desert for promotional things at home desert with Pete Carlson and stuff. Did those coming out here for those, did that play any kind of factor for you or Serena? Did you ever talk to her about coming out here?
No, those were definitely strictly for my clothing line. It wasn't really near the time of the tournament. So no one was thinking so much about tournament tennis, so they were unrelated.
You just suffered a tough loss, but years from now, do you think this will be one of the really good moments in your career?
Oh, it would have been an even better moment to have a win and share that moment with the crowd who'd been so supportive and just so amazing. But not everything can end fairy tale, but there's already enough of a fairy tale to be here, so sometimes there's a little bit of a glitch, but it doesn't mean that I can't come back next year and try a little to do even better.
Was your father here today?
No.
Do you think he will ever come back?
That's a good question. You gotta ask him.
Last couple of questions.
Serena, do you have any, I mean, Venus, do you have any comments regarding the drug issue that's going on now? You've been such a great sports person. Is there anything you'd like to say at this point?
No, I really don't know any. Nobody called me and told me what the facts are, so how can I comment? I don't know anything at all. I don't think anyone knows, and I don't know.
How much do you think the rain delay was that? Before the rain delay, you were holding your serve okay, when you came back, you weren't able to hold your serve. Was it coming back, was it just tough on your body to come back, or was it more conditioned? Was it tough for you to hold serve?
Well, I think she really played well, so I have to give her credit for that. And she didn't really miss any balls. I don't think there were a lot of winners, but she was very consistent and moved the ball around. It was very hard for me to serve in the win. Unfortunately, I didn't handle it as well as she did. It was hard to serve in that win, so that made it a little challenging to hold serve. But it's going to be windy sometimes.
It's an Olympic year, and how much that means to you. Just wondering how that's going to affect the next 5 or so months going forward until Rio.
Well, I'm going to just try to qualify. I mean, at this point, it looks good, but you can't just sit back. So I'm going to be fighting every tournament and trying to make it happen.
Do you have anything special planned in your calendar or adjustments you've made different than a regular year?
It wouldn't be a dream of mine to go to closing ceremonies. I've never been, and I've also never been to another Olympic event. And this, where I'd be able to go would be my 5th Olympics. So those are kind of things you got to try to do at some point, and that would be awesome to do those things.
Anything on the top of your list that you'd like to go see?
I don't care what it is, as long as I can be there. And in Beijing, they had the archery across the street, and I wanted to go so bad. I just wanted to be a part of it, and so whichever it is, wherever I go, I just want to see it.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you all. Good night.